Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, here with my partner, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, 4 teams left in the football quarterfinals. We're guaranteed to have 2 in the semifinals because we're playing one another. And you know this. I feel like and I think this is really cool, that football coaches talk about. If you're practicing on Thanksgiving, you've done something right.
Yes.
And 2 teams will be doing that.
2 teams will be doing it. And it is. It's something you remember for the rest of your life. So it's very cool. The kids will that get to do it will enjoy it. And like I said, take away a very positive memory. But if you're practicing on Thanksgiving, you're in the semifinals. You're 1 step away from Chattanooga. And it's just cool, man. I know all of them do it a little bit differently, but usually they'll have the parents out there maybe, or some dads or some moms, and they'll have breakfast for them. And I don't like cold weather, but that's one day when I do kind of like it to be cold because, it just, like I said, everybody else is at home.
So I know
uniforms are in the plastic bins.
I know Daddy Doug was working a lot, your kid growing up. But I bet at the Mathews household, and I bet even today, it gets violent out there playing some.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say violent, not all of it's physical. Some of it's verbal and mental. Is this accurate?
It's 100%. It would be called warfare. Pickleball, Coach Mathews can still move around pretty
Coach
quickly.
Mathews, so, he looks good, man.
Yeah. So pickleball gets a little heated. My mom may or may not have to stick her head out and yell at us that we have neighbors and calm it down. Pickleball gets heated. Cornhole gets heated.
Now, I don't know your brother like I know you, obviously, but I got a feeling you don't want to be on your dad's team. Or do you? I figured you'd be like, Dad, I'm trying to pay you back for some stuff.
Oh, you mean me personally? No.
You want to be on the opposite team as him?
No, he and I.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he and I usually.
I figured he'd be.
Because he'll turn on you. So like I kind of, because I'll come back at it. Now Jarrett and I aren't on the same team. That never works out well.
Okay.
It's good. It's good.
I figured he would want to be on the team with the young fella.
Yes. Well, the young fella moves around better than anybody else, but he doesn't have very good backhand. Which
means your dad, he's all about winning, so it's like, I'm not having that guy.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is this week's pickleball update.
Pickleball update. It doesn't matter what it is. What's the game? 99, the card game 99?
Doesn't matter.
If he's playing, he's playing to win. It's unbelievable.
That makes it fun, though.
Yeah.
Hey, Tate, before we talk about the second round matchups, I want to remind our audience out there, and it's that time of year, Basketball Media Day tonight at Mojo's Tacos and the Factory at Franklin. Games starting this week. Appreciate WCTV and what they've done supporting that event. Really looking forward to it. Talking a little hoops tonight.
Hoops, it's that time of year. Had some games last night, and I know we'll be talking about that next week, but it's going to be fun. As always, y'all do a fantastic job with the Media Day at Mojo's. What a great venue. And like we said, man, I like the basketball. It excites me as well, not just because we get to see some of the other boys. I love when the girls come out too. So with football, we just have the boys, right? But with the basketball, we've got the boys and the girls, and I always love watching them up there talking. The maturity level of those young people is crazy to me.
And you'll be out on assignment, so we'll miss you, but
I'll be checking in.
We know you'll check in.
That's right.
All right, let's talk some football playoffs. Second round, we're going to start in 6A.
Okay.
An all WCS matchup. Brentwood, the number 1 seed, 38-14 win over number 3 Summit at Brentwood. It was tight early. In fact, Summit down 14-0. Mason McElhaney scores. They go for 2. They get it. They cut it to 14-8 late in the second quarter. So you're thinking, hey, if this thing gets to halftime 14-8, look out. Brentwood responds as they've done all year. Trey Doris with a late TD. Then they get a stop, use their timeouts. And then Isaac Hayes, what a weapon. 46-yard field goal to go into the half. Now it's 24-8. And the way Summit has to score and the time they've got to take, it sort of felt over.
Yes.
At the half. And listen, the first 2 possessions of the second half, they both scored. but it went into the fourth quarter by the time the second possession was over. They both had the ball like 7-8 minutes on their opening drive, so that wasn't a formula for Summit to catch up.
No. They're, the way they play, they're not built to play from behind by very much, and especially not against a team like Brentwood. So, but we talked about it last week, and this is the last time we'll say it here, but no team improved as much from beginning to end as Summit. They fired every shot they had, and it just came up a little bit short against Brentwood. Again, a better team. So sometimes that happens, right? But I think Coach Coleman will tell you they got everything out of this team that they could get, and like you said, it was competitive for a half there. So a lot of positives going into the offseason for the Spartans.
McElhaney coming back's a biggie.
Yes.
They do lose Dominic Hollis. I know we've talked about this a lot this year. He had a lot of people focusing on him, so other people had to make plays, but he's been such a wonderful player for them. And like you said, Brentwood now 12-0, Summit 5-7. I got to think Summit, moving into the off-season workout program, they're actually feeling pretty darn good about themselves.
I do too. I think they are too.
Look out, I say, for Summit.
That's right. They'll be back next year. And another thing that we talk so much about Brentwood's offense through the year. Their defense doesn't get enough credit, man. And
really good.
And you look at the stats for McElhaney. You look at how many rushing yards he put up every single week. Not against Brentwood, man.
Would they have like 181 total yards?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a ton. McElhaney, 47 yards rushing, 64 yards passing. Dylan Pierce, we know that name, Pierce.
That's right.
55 yards receiving. And then on Brentwood's side, and this is what a great team does, and I'm telling you, Brentwood's a great team.
Yes.
Baylor Hayes, he's getting better. 23 for 29, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Clayton Merrill, what about the game he had, Tate?
Yep, 13 receptions, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just keeps on putting up big numbers, and a big part of that is you can't focus on him because you got other guys. And then Trey Doris getting him back. You know, if you remember at the beginning of the year, Trey was kind of the number one ball carrier, as we know. He was out for a while. Gavin Nelson steps in, and now they've got both of those guys back. Trey just kind of gives them a different gear, and he's another playmaker, man. So we talk about it all the time. They literally don't have a weak spot.
Right.
They're the most complete team. That's why they're 12-0.
Ravenwood, number 2 seed, 38-14 win at Smyrna. It was the second win of the season for Ravenwood at Smyrna. They won back in what I'm calling week 4, 28-6 at Smyrna. Didn't play great that night. This night was a little bit different.
Yep.
Smyrna scores on the opening drive, a field goal. They go up 3-0, and then 31 unanswered points for Ravenwood. They've really just dominated that game. Femi Babalola, great night, 11 for 17, 109, 2 touchdowns. Max Kemple and Patrick Sullivan on the receiving end of those, 298 yards rushing. Davis Dallin, we talk about him a lot. Caden Pace, we talk about him a lot. Carter Pace only played that first possession because he didn't need to play.
Right.
This thing this week is trending towards a great game because I think Ravenwood and Brentwood both are peaking right now.
Right time of the year to do it. And here's what jumped out to me that I loved. Ravenwood didn't play real well the first time they played Smyrna. They beat them, but they didn't play real well. The opening field goal, they drive, go down and score 3-0, right? And then it was really over. After that, no turnovers. And
Which is what they fought.
That's right. As we know, that's been their Achilles heel all year long, especially against Smyrna. No turnovers. You're right. They're playing better. And they're going to need to this week, by the way. But, I think Coach Hester was really happy after this one.
Should be.
And it's funny because, you look at that score, 28-6 in week 4, and you think, well, they won 28-6. Yeah, but they didn't play well. They did Friday night.
38-9. And like you said, with Coach Williams there at Smyrna, done a good job. I think they won like 7 straight games during the season. They were a team that was playing well, and they just got knocked out.
Yep, better team. Got a lot of people, we talk about Brentwood. Ravenwood's got a lot of people contributing. Davis and Caden and Carter, Femi's really playing well right now. Donovan Starr, I know he hit. Coach Hester was telling us the other night I think he hit 23 on the catapult. I know he hit 22, but maybe 23. I mean,
that's moving.
That is flying.
Not quite a
Ben
cheetah.
Hubbard.
Not quite a cheetah.
That's right.
As we found out, but pretty fast.
Panther or something. That's flying, man.
It is.
You're right. They're peaking at the right time. They're going to need it.
Be interesting to see what kind of picks we have.
That's right.
When it comes to that. Looking forward to talking about the picks.
Yeah.
5A football. Page, 37-7 winners over Tullahoma. They dominated early. The final score was the score at the half. And listen, I give it to Coach Rathbone. And the coaches in this league are like this. He could have kept pouring it on. In fact, the Tullahoma coach, I saw where he said, man, we got treated well here. First class.
Oh, good.
School was great, which I thought was pretty neat. And let's face it, Coach Rathbone backed it off significantly, which is the right thing to do. Ethan Cunningham, 15 carries, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. That puts him over 1,000 yards rushing this year. And then this is the one that stood out to me, the defense. Gave up 7 rushing yards. 7.
Right.
That's 7 more than you and I got. And we didn't play.
That's right.
7.
Yep.
5 turnovers, including 3 interceptions. And that brings me, Tate, I think you're going to like this week's gym. They've given up 84 points in the last 10 games. They're on a 10-game winning streak. 2 of those have been shutouts. 17 points is the high. That was against Franklin. Franklin put up 17 on September 1st. 8.4 points they've given up during that 10-game winning streak. Now, this is not going to be very popular amongst our Brentwood faithful to watch this. I can make an argument that the best team in WCS is Page High School.
Pretty good, man. Yeah. It'd be a valid argument.
What are your thoughts about that?
If they played, I'd pick Brentwood.
But you think it would be tight?
I think it would be tight. I think they've got so many players, man. They're fun to watch. And I talked about it after the Nolensville game. I got to go see that game live. Ethan Cunningham, man, I love the way he runs the ball, man. He's a heck of a running back, but, you know, he's a guy that he finds his hole, gets his foot in the ground, gets downhill, and he's got the speed to break away. So I really like that. Jonathan Palmer scored 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, you know, so they got a lot of weapons as well. So defensively, I think you're right. Page and Brentwood have the 2 best defenses. I think maybe Brentwood has love Palmer, man, but Hayes is Baylor Hayes is a difference maker.
He's pretty special. He is, and he is a difference maker in a lot of these matchups. Now, we're talking about Brentwood and Page being the 2 best teams. I think Ravenwood and Centennial are going, hey.
What about us?
They still have to beat us this week.
That's right.
Speaking of, Centennial, 5A, down 7-0 at the half. They come back, they go on the road. They beat a good Shelbyville team.
Yes.
It's a good team. 20-14, Dominic Reed, playing like the Mr. Football semifinalist he is, gets 3 second-half touchdowns, all from the Wildcat. You know what I like about that? And Coach Coleman talks about this a lot at Summit. When you put somebody in the Wildcat, you are definitely telling them what's coming.
Right.
Hey, guys, I'm back here 3 different times.
Coming right at you.
Good luck stopping it.
Stop it.
That dude's a player, man.
He is, man. Tanner Lee's back, which just allows them to, get the ball to. You have to honor it, when he's in there, and so it just gives them one less person eyeing on Dominic, and he's done it all year long. I guess that's got to feel pretty good as a coach, knowing when things aren't really going our way. Hey, let's just get in the Wildcat, feed this thing to Dom, let him do what he does. And you're right. Shelbyville is a good football team. So that's a big win. 10-2, man. Think about that.
10-2.
10-2 on the season. Not over yet, but I'd say Coach Stewart, successful first season.
A great first season. Now, before we talk about Fairview, because we've got 5A and 6A teams left, let's put our kind of looking forward hat. We're talking about the playoffs. So in 5A, it's looking like it's going to be Southwind. Beach goes to Southwind. I thought Beach might win that game.
I did too.
Now you got Southwind Henry. I think the winner of our 5A game, Page Centennial, ends up playing that Southwind.
If it's Page, I think Centennial would play them a little different. But if that game is Page Southwind, they might break the scoreboard on that one.
Now tell me what you think. Let's just say for a second if it is Page. If it's Page Southwind, in a strange kind of way, I think Page is better off playing Southwind than they are Henry County. I think the opposite is true with Centennial.
I do too.
I think Centennial would rather play Henry.
I do too.
That's just a matchup kind of thing. Agree?
Yep. 100%. Yeah. That Southwind's going to score some points now. But I think they'll score quickly, but they're going to give up quickly to Page. That's what I just think it would be kind of like that Henry County Page game a couple years ago with McNamara, man. I mean, I could see the Southwind Page thing being 80, 100 points total.
Which would be fun. 6A, some news. I saw where Maryville gets beat. It's like the first time they hadn't been in the semi since like 2002. Is that right?
Yep.
That's an amazing stat. Shout out to them. I mean, what do we care? But that's impressive.
Yeah. Got beat by Bradley Central.
I didn't think one dude could beat somebody in football till I.
You talking about Boo Carter?
Apparently.
He's a stud.
And I'm not saying they don't have anybody else, but
Yeah.
I don't think playing Bradley would strike the fear in some people like in Oakland or. So it's safe to say that we think that Bradley's making it to the end.
I think Oakland is.
Oh, you think Oakland will beat Riverdale and then?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, if whoever wins the Riverdale game, I think will make it to the Chattanooga. And I think that's good for us.
Now let's talk about our side.
Yep.
So Brentwood, Ravenwood, the winner's going to host either Houston or Germantown.
It'll be Germantown.
And we know that's going to be tough, but playing here, talk a little bit about Germantown and what that would mean for our teams.
They're loaded. They've got players. They've got a really big line. They've got a really good quarterback, and they've got a running back that they kind of move around, kind of like Austin Eckler, maybe, from the Chargers. They'll throw it to him. They'll also hand it to him. He's a good player. And Gene Robinson does a really good job coaching. So, Germantown gave us some trouble last year in the playoffs, the last couple of years, really. But they're the most complete team out of those Memphis ones. So they've got speed. They're physical. I don't think they're as disciplined as, say, a Brentwood or a Ravenwood. So you'd have to get some turnovers, but I think we can do that. So it'll be a tough challenge for sure. Glad they're coming. They're coming here, right?
That's right.
Yeah, glad they're coming here.
5
That's
and
not
6
going there.
So we both get to host, which that should matter.
Yeah, that's a long trip, man.
So, and for us, I think after the first round, we had a few less teams than we normally do still playing. But when it's all said and done, we get a couple in the finals.
That'd be huge.
It would be huge. And I'm telling you, and again, not a knock on Centennial, and I'm not saying Centennial's not going to win Friday night. You can see Page winning it. Just because they've been there, it matters. It's trending.
And it's looking like probably Anderson County out of the East again, isn't it?
And then we're talking too.
Not Anderson County. Who am I talking about? West.
Knoxville West.
West, sorry.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And we're going to call them Knoxville West.
That's right.
West Haven.
West Hills. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's looking. Yeah, they're looking pretty strong there. All right, let's talk a little 3A. Final game for Fairview, 49-27 loss against Liberty Creek. Liberty Creek jumped out to an early 14-0 lead. Fairview kept scoring, but they could never get closer than 14 because they couldn't stop Liberty Creek. Trayvon Murray for Fairview, 24 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 8 tackles on defense. And by the way, he's back next year for them. In fact, as you look through these, you see a lot of guys that are going to be back. Jax McCoy, 17 for 24, the sophomore, 260 yards and a touchdown to sophomore Caden Lee. Will Frank, sophomore, 11 tackles. Billingsley, obviously the big loss. Senior Wendell Billingsley had a great year. He had 14 receptions, 179 yards, and 6 tackles
Six
on
tackles.
defense. What a great year for that young man.
Yeah, he's one that'll be remembered for sure. And his last game did what he always did. He showed out. So but you're right. Fairview they're young this year, so they've got and still won the region. So got to be happy about that. But they just couldn't stop them. That's what we were afraid of. That Liberty Creek offense is legit with Brian Rager at quarterback and Coach Alexander. He's going to do a good job on offense. He always does. So they were going to have to outscore them. Problem is, Liberty Creek was really, really good Friday night.
Really good. And, Fairview, just a wonderful year for them to start off 0-2, to finish 8-4 and win another region championship, I think was a big deal. And listen, you talked about Coach Alexander. I went and looked at their schedule. Their opponents were 58-42 during the regular season. And, oh, by the way, 3 of their opponents are still playing. And I feel like for Liberty Creek, maybe I looked at that going in thinking, man, they've been tested.
Yeah.
I was worried about that a little bit going into that game, especially with Fairview's youth.
Yes.
And Liberty Creek played great. So hats off to Coach Hughes and Fairview for hanging in there, winning another region championship. I know they're proud of that.
Yep.
All right, Tate, we're going to talk about pick'ems, and we're going to spend a little time on these games. This match, there's only 2 games this week, but it's worth us
They're 2 big ones.
focusing on. So, fans, it's not over till it's over. Make sure that you keep voting at WCSCL Athletics on X. Just a little roundup from last week.
It's over.
You and the fans had a great week. You're both 4-1. Now you both have 68 wins, tied for second. Dr. Qualls went 5-0.
I know.
He's
one back.
He's only won back 67-14.
I mean, this will just drive me out of the picking business.
And then I had a pretty good week, went 5-0, 71 wins, second place. It's not over.
It's over.
It's not over.
It's over.
It's not, hey, listen, I got to focus on the prize at the end. But let's talk about our games this week. So let's start with the 5A game. Okay, we got Page and Centennial. Page 11-1, Centennial 10-2. Back on October 20th, Page won 24-12. I would argue that score is closer than the game really was that particular night. Thoughts about that game and what Centennial has to do to maybe pull the upset? And I think it would be an upset.
It would be an upset. They're literally going to have to score every possession that they have it. They need to shorten the game a little bit, be physical with them, give them a good dose of Tanner, of Dominic Reed at the Wildcat, and then they're going to need some things out of Tanner as well. But I don't know that they're going to be able to line up and throw the ball over the field against. Even though Elisha's had a great year, you're not going to be able to throw the ball a whole lot and win against Page. They're going to have to line up, run it right down their throat, and if they get 8 possessions, they probably ought to score on 7 of them, or they're going to be in trouble.
Games obviously being played at Page, too.
Yep.
That's what's interesting about these 2 games. Number one, they both played late in the season. Games that really had a lot to do with the region championship. In the Brentwood-Ravenwood game, it was for the region championship. And both games are played at the same location they were played during the year, which was interesting. 6A.
But that's just the way it's set. It was set.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Just set up that way. 6A, Brentwood 12-0, the number 1 seed versus number 2 Ravenwood 9-3. Brentwood won 17-0 in what I'm calling week 10, but I guess it's really
Week 11.
Week 11. Last season of the week.
Last week of the season.
Yes, last week of the season. It determined the region championship. We thought they would play again. Here they are. And by the way, before I don't know if you've got the 104.5. Maybe they watched the show, or maybe you talk about it. They had like a segment where they were talking, and they were talking about it on My TV 30 about, is it Battle of the Wood? It's like gotten this. My TV 30 was talking about it.
I love it.
It was great.
And they probably said Woods, didn't they?
I was so excited and interested that they were talking about that.
Yeah. Now, I heard them talking about it on Touchdown Friday, too, I think.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a debate, but they were talking about Battle of the Woods. So
No, they were talking about, is it Wood or Woods?
I would have loved to have heard that. I did. Yes, I've mentioned it on the Zone before. I told Hunk that. And no, I told Lucas that. And told him you and I have had a long-running debate on this, and we don't see eye to eye on it.
Well, I think we kind of do. What I see is it was originally wood, and it's turned into woods.
Right.
That's just, and even the Brentwood people want it. You would think the Brentwood people would say, no, let's make it Battle of Brentwood because it's our city,
That's right.
But they think like, no, it's woods. Anyway, has nothing to do with the game. But what does Raven? Listen, I think Brentwood's got to be a little nervous and maybe a little uptight about this. Ravenwood has nothing to lose.
No.
I'm telling you, in a rivalry game, I think that's a nice position to be in.
Oh, I do too. And no turnovers last week. They played their best game that they've played probably all season. So, and Coach Hester's not above playing like that sometimes, man. Just, fake punts, trickeration, right?
Here it comes.
He'll pull it out this week.
What's there to save it for?
That's right. Well, you got beat 17-0 the last time. Ravenwood doesn't get shut out, That's how good that defense is. So you can't do what you did last time. It's not going to work. So he's definitely going to change it up. And yeah, I'd say don't be on your phone on third or fourth down, especially when they have the ball.
What surprised me in that game the last time was Ravenwood, their size on the offensive line compared to Brentwood's defensive line. I thought, this is going to be – they had like 18 rushing yards.
Yeah.
But, I think, like you said, pull out all the stops in this particular game. So let's just get right to the picks.
Okay.
We're going to start off. In the 6A game, Brentwood, 12-0, hosting number 2 Ravenwood, 9-3. Battle of the Wood or Woods, depending on your perspective. Again, Brentwood won 17-0 just a few weeks ago. Who you got in this one, Tate?
Well, Media Day was on July the 1st this year, was it not?
I knew you were going to go this angle.
And I believe I said then, and there was some, oh, really? That got me off guard. Brentwood is the best team. They're going to win the region championship, and they're going to go the farthest in the playoffs.
I feel like that part we didn't say, but
did I add that one?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Brentwood beats them. They're complete, and here's the good thing: they're healthy again. And I just that offensive line and that defense. I know they got a lot of other big things, but I think that's where the difference is, and I think they're going to go 13-0.
So, what you were alluding to is on Media Day, I said Ravenwood will win the region.
That is what you said.
And which I did, and so I picked them in the last game of the season. However,
and I believe you said I'm picking them every week.
However, I don't know when to run back the tape. I actually don't run back the tape. I don't think we mentioned the playoffs. And even if we did, listen, sometimes you got to say, maybe I was wrong. But here's what I am going to say.
Well, and things change.
Here's what I'm going to say about this matchup. Anytime you go really deep, and they're both deep, but I'm talking about semis and finals, you'll go back to a game where you go, how did we survive that? I think that's what's going to happen in this game. I think Ravenwood's going to be there, maybe even lead it late, but Brentwood at the end, they're going to win it. Don't be surprised if the difference isn't an Isaac Hayes field goal late in that game. I think it's going to be tight, but I agree, Brentwood gets the win.
Brentwood gets the win.
5A.
Sorry, Mimi.
Sorry, Mimi. Believe me, I stuck with you all year. 5A. Page Centennial at Page. I'll pick this one first. I think Page is just too good right now. And I think Centennial's had a great year. I think they'll look back and go, hey, we were 10-3, 2 losses to Page, who's in the final and maybe winning it. If Page wasn't in the way, Centennial would roll into the final, but Page is in the way.
Page is in the way.
Page High School.
Back-to-back trips to Chattanooga. I know there'll be a semifinal round, but I'm with you. Page gets this win. Great job by the Cougars, and I know Page is on the clock, but I don't think they care about being on the clock. They welcome it.
They like being on the clock.
They like being on the clock.
They like being on the clock. Tate, appreciate you being here. Now, we'll be off next week for the holidays, but we'll be back to review the semifinal matchups and the finals. So, and talk a little hoops then too. And we got some wrestling starting.
That's right.
And bowling's getting underway too here soon. So, got a
It's
lot
gonna
to
be
talk
fun.
about. A lot to talk about. In fact, we have had some bowling, but we'll have a lot more bowling to talk about. Our man Ted Logan, you know that guy.
He is the bowling guru,
The guru.
of Wilco.
The guru. He is. Tate, thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.